Today, we are diving into one of the greatest war stories ever told. It's a legend that's absolutely packed with unforgettable heroes, a catastrophic siege, and a love affair that literally brought a shining city to its knees, the fall of Troy. You know, this whole epic story, it all really boils down to this one question. How on earth could a forbidden romance spark a war that lasted 10 years and, in the end, completely wiped a civilization off the map? Well, that's the incredible story we're about to get into.
All right, so where does it all start? Well, everything kicks off with this single fateful choice. And it wasn't made on a battlefield, but inside a palace where a guest betrayed his host and set the entire world on a collision course with war. So what you're seeing here is this epic collision of duty and desire. On one side, you've got Paris, a prince of Troy, who's being welcomed as a guest in Sparta. And on the other, there's Helen, the wife of his host, King Menelaus. They fall in love, and Paris makes the absolutely catastrophic decision to take her back with him to Troy. This was a massive insult, an act of supreme disrespect that, well, was going to doom them all.
Now, you might think this is just a personal betrayal, but oh no, it was way bigger than that. This was a public humiliation for a king. So what does Menelaus do? He immediately runs to his brother, Agamemnon, who happens to be the most powerful king in all of Greece, and demands vengeance. He wants to assemble an army.
But let's be real here. For Agamemnon, this isn't just about his brother's honor. Not at all. He sees a golden opportunity. This is the perfect excuse to unite all the armies of Greece and go conquer Troy, the richest, most powerful city in the entire region. It's a classic political move, right? Using a personal problem as the public reason for a war of conquest. From the very beginning, this war was really about power.
So, the excuse is set, the armies are gathered, and what comes next? A 10-year siege. A brutal, grinding war that wasn't really defined by strategy, but by the legendary champions who fought and died right there in the shadow of Troy's supposedly unbreakable walls. And this Greek army, it is an absolutely terrifying sight. At its head is a man who is basically a force of nature himself, Achilles. He's the greatest warrior alive, and he has joined this war for one reason and one reason only: eternal glory. He wants his name to echo through history forever.
For years, this war is just a brutal, bloody deadlock. Nothing really changes. But then comes the turning point. In the chaos of battle, the noble Trojan prince Hector kills a Greek warrior who he thinks is Achilles, but it's not. It's actually Achilles' beloved cousin, Patroclus. And in that single moment, everything changes for Achilles. That quest for glory, it just vanishes. It's totally consumed by one single, blinding emotion. We see this timeless truth play out, how grief can just curdle into a rage so powerful it can change the entire course of history.
And that, right there, sets the stage for the ultimate showdown between the two titans of this war. On one side, you have Achilles, this demigod warrior now fighting for nothing but pure vengeance. And on the other, you have Hector, a mortal man fighting not for fame, but for the very survival of his family and his city. It's an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
So, Achilles, completely possessed by his grief, challenges Hector to a duel right outside the city walls. And in this legendary, heartbreaking battle, Achilles kills the great protector of Troy. With Hector's death, the city doesn't just lose its greatest champion, it loses its hope. But even with Hector gone, Troy's walls still stand. The Greeks finally realize that 10 years of pure brute force have gotten them nowhere. If they're gonna win this thing, it won't be with strength, but with their minds. The story kind of shifts here. It goes from this epic of heroes to more of a high-stakes thriller.
Let's just stop and think about that timeline for a second. 10 long, brutal years of fighting. A whole generation of soldiers has known nothing but this siege. You can imagine the Greek army is just exhausted and completely desperate for a way to finally end it.
And this brings us to that famous, absolutely brilliant plan credited to the wily Odysseus. The steps are pretty simple, but incredibly bold. First, build a giant wooden horse. Second, pretend to give up and sail home. Third, hide your best soldiers inside it as a supposed gift. The whole war now hangs on this one massive gamble.
The Trojans, totally worn out by war and just overjoyed that they've apparently won, make the fateful decision to bring the gift inside their gates. They have no idea that they're literally welcoming their own destruction and setting the stage for the city's final, horrific hours.
In the dead of night, the plan works perfectly. The hidden Greek soldiers slip out of the horse. They kill the city's guards, and they throw open the great gates of Troy, the same gates that had held strong for an entire decade.
What happens next is just brutal and swift. The entire Greek army, which was just hiding over the horizon, floods into the now defenseless city. It's absolute chaos. The glorious city of Troy is sacked, burned, and utterly destroyed from the inside out. And right in the middle of all this carnage, there's one last bitter piece of irony. Achilles, the warrior who seemed invincible, is finally killed. But he isn't struck down by some great hero in an epic duel. Nope. He's killed by a desperate arrow fired by Paris, the very man who started this whole war, which just happens to find the one mortal spot on his body, his heel.
So, the war is over. The heroes are dead, and the city is nothing but ash. Why then, after thousands of years, are we still telling this story? What is it about the fall of Troy that still fascinates us so much?
The legend lives on because, let's face it, it's about so much more than just a war. It's a timeless look at some of the most powerful human drivers: pride, love, and the hunger for power. It makes us think about what honor really means, the powerful pull of glory, and maybe most importantly, the profound and devastating cost of human conflict.
You know, in the end, Achilles actually got his immortality, just maybe not in the way he expected. Troy is gone, its walls are dust, but its legend is eternal. And that kind of leaves us with one final, haunting question to think about. When the heroes have fallen and the cities have burned to the ground, what is left behind but the story itself?